Well then, ladies and gentlemen, tonight you find me at the Assembly Rooms. And the reason I'm at the Assembly Rooms is because there's a performance piece going on tonight called the Immortal Hour. The Immortal Hour was originally performed here, I believe, 114 years ago. Anyway, I've come here to have a look, and we're also going to meet Greg, the director, the man behind all of this, and he's going to explain to us what's going on. So for now, we just got to wait for the doors to open so everybody can file in, because there's an unusual way this is being presented tonight, which is rather I like. But anyway, we'll go in a minute. Today's video is sponsored by Heart of the Tribe Gallery, where art meets community. More about that later. Well, it looks like we're going in. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm with Greg Dinunzi.
Hey guys.
And tonight I'm bringing you a video that's a little bit more highbrow than our normal output.
Okay.
I'm with the theatre types tonight. So, Greg, tell me, the Immortal Hour, a bit of background. What people are going to see? What's it about? Because I mean, you've been in here practicing for a week for this.
We've been a week, yeah, which is very short in this world.
Yeah.
So yes. So Immortal Hour was written in 1899 by Fiona Mcleod. Today, if you say that, you have to say it's also William Sharp, because there are people who like to describe the relationship between William Sharp and Fiona Mcleod in that the way that Fiona Mcleod was a alias name for William Sharp himself. But that wasn't William Sharp's experience of things. He worked very, very hard to separate his own work from hers. He wrote on his own, and there's a body of work under her name. So I'm more apt to say that to respect his own personal wishes. So I like to just say it's a Fiona Mcleod piece because that's what he said it was.
Okay.
Yeah. And the first time it was performed, it was in this very building. We're in the Assembly Rooms in Glastonbury. It was performed in 1914, and that was the beginning of the opera from Rutland Boughton. Who is also the founder of the Glastonbury Festival.
The original one.
The original Glastonbury Festival. And this piece, his opera, was the opening piece of the original Glastonbury Festival.
So it's gone full circle. It was first performed here.
It was first performed here, right?
I've got to ask.
Yes.
Somebody sitting in the first audience and then coming back to be in the second audience, what would they see changed?
Absolutely everything, except the words, except the text.
The text is the same.
The text is the same. It's a shorter version of it because we live in a faster time. And so the performance is just a little over an hour long. But the text is Fiona Mcleod's. The music, however, is not Rutland Boughton's. The music is from me. It's an all-new score. It's not opera. It's really a modern, we use spoken word, we use singing, we use chanting. And when it's performed live, it has, it's a chamber orchestra, really. It's a cello, a viola, a bass clarinet, a crazy, beautiful instrument called duduk, which is an Armenian flute. And we have a special guest for our performance. The other musician in this performance is R.J. Stewart, who is going to be playing psaltery. And he's a very well-known figure here.
Because I believe these were all recorded off-site by top people and top musicians, and then you're kind of mixing it because there's a lot of high technology going on in this as well, isn't there?
Well, I did all the recording, and we hired the musicians for this piece. Yeah, so it's has nothing musically to do with Rutland Boughton. And what I am a fan of the opera. I have to say that I'm a fan of the opera. But what I missed in the opera was basically the focus on the text. Because in opera, you tend to go deeper into the music, and you don't always get the subtleties in the text. And what I wanted, the reason I did it, is I felt that the text was so special. Her writing and her poetry is so special that I wanted to give it a music, a foundation which only highlighted to whatever degree I could the text itself, so to go back to that and to respect a little bit the ritual elements in the piece. The Immortal Hour is a piece that's about it's well known to its fans, so I'm simply, if I simplify this too much, forgive me, but it's basically a piece about a human king and a fairy princess who meet, and it's what happens here. And there's a very fascinating character named Delua in this piece, who is, to my understanding, a character that was first seen in this work. It didn't used to be a traditional character for Celtic mythology or she mythology. If I understand this correctly, and you write in the comments if I'm wrong, if I understand it correctly, Fiona Mcleod created this character, and it is a very, very interesting character. And so that's a part of this also.
So, looking around the space here, I see we have chairs down each side and a central area, and we're surrounded by 6 speakers. So,
Right.
the whole it's not the usual layout that you would expect to see, is it?
Right. No, it's not. This is, I'm working with I'm originally from New York. I live right now in Berlin for a long time. But when I was in New York, the creative team here, we called ourselves the Modern Theater of Myth. And we were doing lots of Greek plays and Shakespeare and we basically loved the world of mythology, and we were doing a number of different directions. And this is the first piece that we're doing in the Celtic direction, which I started composing during COVID because I was locked down in my recording studio for 2 years. So it was a great opportunity to do a really, really deep dive into the text and the music, and I would repeat the text, look for rhythms in the poetry, look for ideas, and basically from the rhythms themselves, that always suggested for me some kind of melody or some kind of harmonic arrangements. So it came out of that, and this method where we call it runway. This is the center area, which you'll see in a second, is we call it the runway. And the audience sits facing each other parallel. The advantages to this, and we started doing this, by the way, for young audiences, for audiences of 14, 15 years old, because we found that when they're sitting in a normal theater, with a live theater, they would detach from what was happening on stage, if they could. And they would just talk amongst themselves, and it was as if we were in 2 different rooms. And so to work against that a little bit, we decided that we bring the audience up onto the stage. So we were very close, very close to the audience.
I do like that idea.
And we've had years of experience with it. It's very effective. It's effective for 1,000 reasons, because we don't have to amplify the voices, so it's natural sounding. And even though we have 6 speakers around us, it's not loud. The speakers are so that the music comes from all around, and so it doesn't need to be loud if it comes from one place for an entire auditorium full of people.
Absolutely. And it puts you inside because they go around the back of the chairs as well, don't they?
Right. Yeah. The actors never get to leave. The actors, they have to stay in either what we call the periphery behind the chairs. If they're not on stage, they're in the periphery, and the idea is that they're always. This is an ensemble theater piece, and when this is a term that everybody will say it's something different, but for us, the basic idea is that there's not necessarily stars and an A team and then minions underneath. It's not really about that.
It's a proper ensemble piece.
It's a proper ensemble piece, and so the actors have to be available to each other, even if they're not in the scene. Somebody doesn't have. If you're talking about in Hamlet, if you're talking about the dead father, he's not in the scene. He's not even in the play. He's not embodied in the play often, but sometimes he is. And when he's embodied, he can walk through. As Hamlet's talking about the ghost, the character can walk through. The ghost can walk through the room, and Hamlet can watch it. And we can design that so that the other members of the cast are not noticing him, and that it creates it creates a depth of experience for the actor himself, and in our experience, it really plays well. It gives an authenticity to the acting that is quite an easy and inexpensive way to do it. In terms of, we don't need tech and we don't need special lights and things. And also, when you're this close, you know, originally we started because we were worried that the kids of this age, like 15-year-old kids, were so used to theater, and in theater you get real close-ups, where you're this far from Brad Pitt's face or
Yeah.
something like that.
Count
In
the
film,
freckles.
but in theater, we don't have that option unless you use multimedia. And if you use multimedia, it doesn't really feel like theater anymore. Theater is
it's
very
a level
special.
between you and the actor, isn't it?
Right. But in this case, the actor is really no further away than somebody would be in your living room. Well, maybe that's an exaggeration, but they're much, much closer. The entire audience is much closer to all of the actors. And so you can read facial expressions better. And we found it very successful.
Well, Greg, I want to say a huge thank you for taking the time to talk to me. I am really
Sure.
looking forward to seeing this. Now, the public performance of this is on Sunday night?
It's on Sunday night,
Are
yes.
there tickets available still?
Yes, there are some tickets available. We're doing well, but there are some tickets available. I would suggest, if you're interested, that you do go. It's on Ethical Tickets, or you can look at the either my website, which is www.meetblackbird.com, which will take you to the page. The homepage is that. You can get tickets. You can read the program there. You can just click on that and get the program and read tickets. And if you want to buy CDs, the CDs have arrived from the studio version of it.
Okay.
Yes. So please do come. Again, this piece is very deeply connected to Glastonbury. That's why we went to the trouble to bring it here. First was here 111 years ago, and this is the return. And it's a new vision for the piece, and it's very much more modern. Let's say that.
Greg, thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
Thanks.
The Heart of the Tribe Gallery is a community art gallery situated near the top of Glastonbury High Street. They host amazing exhibitions supporting local artists, and they have a beautiful secret garden out the back. So be sure to check them out and support local art.